My sister Nola, just older than me, 3 years older than me, was dating when I lived in Highland, and she was old enough to date. I mean, she was, well, let's see, what was I, 18 and or 17, yeah, she was. I was probably about 16 or 17, somewhere in that neighborhood, and she came down over the mountain with her boyfriend, who turned out to be her husband later on. And he had a brand new motorcycle. She was on the back. And she had shorts on, and when she went in the house, Mom spanked her legs, told her that that was wrong. She shouldn't be wearing shorts around boys. You don't want to do that to a boy. Anyway, it was pretty rough. Dan came out. And he said, "Hey, do you want to ride my motorcycle?" I said, "Oh, I probably better not." My mind went back to my history of what I've destroyed in my lifetime, and he said, "Oh, no, go ahead. Just drive it." I said, "I don't know how." He told me about the one down, three up thing, showed me where the brakes were and showed me where the clutch was and all of that stuff. So I got on and he got on behind me, and I revved the thing up a little bit because I didn't know, just happened to rev a little faster than I expected to when I twisted the handle. And I popped the clutch and he fell off the back and I was down the road. And I was already down one, so I went up one and I went up again, and I didn't know how to stop it. I hadn't been told how to stop it. And so I went half mile down to where the road turns to the right, and I managed to slow it down enough to turn. I wanted to go back and put him back on the darn thing, but it just wasn't to be, I guess. So I took off again, went up over the hill towards the church, and I got down to the road there, and I slowed down. Now I was kind of feeling myself, felt like I was doing all right. And I went across the other road for a mile, turned right again, and went down towards Mike Bringhurst's place. He lived just halfway between that turnoff and our place. And I was just going to go home, but as I got there, I saw he and his mother out with rakes in their hands, and they had just barely planted a brand new um, patch of grass, and it was pretty good size. And it was deep. It had been watered, and you could tell that there was a lot of mud. Now, when I got there, I wanted to turn in. I didn't want to look like a novice. I wanted to look like somebody that really knew what they were doing on that bike. I wanted to pull up and stop right in front of the grass and talk with him for a minute and then turn around and go. Well, I got right up in front of the grass and I forgot what between the gas feed and the clutch and the brake and all that stuff, and I just turned that gas feed down all the way and jumped right out in the middle of his grass, and one foot went down and I held the bike up and the wheels were spinning like crazy and just throwing mud all over. And as I was going around in circles, I was going concentrically across the lawn. I just literally stirred that whole lawn up. And finally the bike stopped and it tipped over, and I just grabbed it by the handlebar and just drug it through the mud all the way across, back across to the other side. Pulled it up, said, "See ya." And Mike looked at me with, I don't know whether he was closer to crying or closer to laughing. I don't know. He's interesting that way. And I drove back, and Dan met me outside, and that you couldn't tell what color it was. It was just mud from top to bottom. And he came out and saw that and looked it over and very quietly pushed it over to the hydrant, and took the hose and squirted it all off, cleaned it up. Didn't even ask me to do that. Couldn't believe it. He deserved my sister. I granted her permission to marry that day.